Welcome to Brain Power with Dr. Echo, where each week we discuss how your family can boost brain health by addressing mind, body, emotional, and environmental health. So hi, parents. Welcome to another episode of Brain Power with Dr. Echo. I have a wonderful guest with me today, Mr. Eric Williams. He's the founder of PEEA, and he's going to tell you what PEEA means and why he started PEEA and introduce himself as always. So welcome to the show, Mr. Williams.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Okay.
So, so Project Elijah Empowering Autism, PEEA for short, is the Autism Foundation that I created in 2004 based out of West Philadelphia and is named after my son Elijah, who's now 26. And at the age of 3, he was diagnosed with autism. PEEA, we host free year-round education and recreation programs for individuals with autism ages 6 and up. So we always meet families where they are in a safe, nurturing, and judgment-free manner, and we just continue to go. So we're now entering our 21st year, which I'm excited about. Hey. And just doing the work. And then also what's more important, my journey as a father. You know, Elijah's 26, and back then autism wasn't talked about a lot. And back then I thought he was going to be like Rain Man. He was going to have this diagnosis with a gift. But then the reality was he didn't have neither, but he did have the diagnosis. So just learning what it is for the first few years, I was basically in denial. Uh, I don't, because I had 2 older sons at the time. They was typical. And here it is. Elijah was not typical. Didn't do typical things. Sensitive to touch. Didn't communicate. Just had a lot of behavior challenges. And me trying to learn what that is, I struggled. I struggled for many years, just trying to learn what was going on. And then, as a father, I felt like I was defeated because here it is, our nature, we're problem solvers and we got to fix everything. And then now it is, all of a sudden, I had to take that sternness, and then now I transitioned to being vulnerable all around what Elijah was doing, and then how he affected in school, certain things that he couldn't do, that he wouldn't do rather, and then also at home. So it was just it was an eye opener. It made me appreciate myself as a parent, my due diligence of trying to do all of these things, and one the diagnosis, push for a diagnosis, got it. I didn't know what to do with it in a nutshell. So just felt like I was in a world of my own. And here it is now. I'm looking at this kid smiling all the time and doing all these things, but something wasn't just connecting. So that platform that I was living in was at the time my harsh reality. But then the blessing of it, the more things were a challenge, the more I started to expand my mindset to say I still had to take care of my other 2 sons. How do I incorporate them? How do I nurture Elijah? I'm hugging my 2 sons and I can't hug my youngest son. So I was just trying to do different things, and I went right off script, which there was no script. And then just try to, manage it. And as a father, started to come around on my own, started looking at things a little different. He taught me a lot of patience, positivity, prayer. And it just been a monumental ride now. So if you was to look at Elijah at 3 to where he is at 26, it's almost like night and day. So I would gauge Elijah's education mindset as a first grader at best. But his socialization and interaction is amazing. He can function in the mainstream like that. But then as far as education, I have yet to really tap in to his reading, writing, and those type of things. Everything else he can do. So now at 26, about to start the educational journey with him. So little behind that because back then Elijah was more of a behavior. And then again, as I mentioned, as a father, I was more in denial than anything. So I was holding myself back. Once I released my own handcuffs, so to say, now I started to learn from what it is that I was living.
Wow, that is thank you for sharing that. I wanted to ask, what was it that led you to going from being in denial to deciding to embrace it? What happened? Or was there a trigger? Or can you just tell us? Because I'm sure lots of fathers are where you are in the state of denial, and so I'm just curious what happened for you.
So I'm gonna give you both ends. One end, um, I had so many tears that I was shedding. I felt like I couldn't shed another tear. And then I felt like, Elijah has a good support system at home. And although everybody rallied around, it was just me as a father, something that I couldn't do. So here it is, we tasked with many things just in life. But then when I couldn't conquer that, it triggered me a lot of anxiety, a lot of frustration, caused me to do a lot of things that I didn't really want to do. And then one day, um, Elijah was having a temper tantrum, a meltdown, and he was just swinging and throwing punches and coming, almost striking me and his brothers. And
Mm.
I just got really frustrated and I just clutched him and I just held him really tight. I was his personal, like a straitjacket in a sense. Elijah went to the ground. I went to the ground and I must have held him for almost 2 hours, literally
Oh,
stroking his hair, trying to give that restraint. And I could feel his frustration coming through. And I just stroking his hair, biblically speaking, Elijah's powers in his hair, rubbing his hair, didn't know what to do. My other son is crying on the couch. I'm doing this. I had my legs wrapped around him, my arms wrapped around him. And I was just whispering in his ear, like, Elijah, Dad, love you. Although he couldn't talk, he could understand everything that you say.
great.
Elijah, Dad, love you. Mm, I can't have you doing this, trying to articulate it in a way that hopefully he gets it.
Mm.
This will be one of them remedies. Don't try this at home, but this worked for me. And then he fell asleep. And he fell asleep after a couple hours, and I was still on him. That wasn't the right thing. That was the frustration coming out. And then when I finally let him go, and when he woke up, he wasn't doing that. So I was like, wow, that didn't work, but maybe he just got tired or whatever. And then he started to be a little bit more calmer. Again, I wouldn't suggest that because every situation is different, but at the time that worked for me. Uh, and then not practical, the spur of the moment, that was a frustrating part. The other side of it, the plus side, Elijah had this infectious smile that if you see him, you could tell something was trying to connect. So he would stare at, your common, your light switch, the ceiling fans that he awfully did, stemming. But he had this smile with him that one day I just looked at him. I was like, wow, like he's so happy where he is.
Mhm.
All I'm doing is trying to push him to where like my other sons, where I wanted him to be. But
Right.
I was meeting Elijah where he is.
Mm.
So we were staying over my mom's house. Elijah would just talk all through the night. And I'm thinking I'm working, I can't get to sleep. My other sons can't get to sleep. She says, leave him alone. He's talking to God, like he's talking to the angels that's on his back. And they're protecting him. So I was like, wait, okay. I let him talk. So, but
You
as I accepted that, I pulled back in some of those things that I would do, restraining him, trying to give him that mean look, taking him outside and felt like I was embarrassed. And I had to do something like Elijah had a passing gas situation. And I went from making all of these excuses to now I would be like, oh, he had a hoagie last night. He had a pizza and he don't need to eat this and let's go on him. Like you never pass gas. So I turned that part of it around. So now we got to accept it. So
right.
that was kind of, both ends, something really drastic to something that's really soothing. And as I calmed down, I looked at him, I started to calm down more and my demeanor changed. My son's demeanor changed. Elijah's whole family start to be willing to be like, okay, this is where we are. We may not be able to change it, but there's live in it now.
Right. Wow. That is so powerful. Just what you said about you were trying to push him towards, hi, visitor.
Hi, visitor.
That's one of my partners. I call them my partners.
Yeah.
You have to check on a senior partner.
Hmm.
So just so powerful what you said about you were trying to push him to what your other sons were like. And then it was when all of you just decided, actually, with you as being the example, decided, we'll just accept him where he is and everything else changed. That's so powerful.
Yeah, and then our peer programs, I always say those key statements to give that family some confidence, safe, nurturing, and judgment free. We meet you where you are, not where we want you to be.
Yes, yes, yes. And I always tell my parents when I'm talking about the diagnosis, it's your child hasn't changed. Your child is still your child, right? The diagnosis does not define your child. And it's our job as parents to see the potential of our children, right? Where they are and just and meet them there. And so, and to boost whatever it is we find that they're really good at, we boost
Mhm,
that. And
mhm,
so like him, his the smile, I'm sure, makes other people so happy when they see him.
mhm. Yeah,
Everybody respond. That's a gift to be able to smile, no matter. For most of the time, and so that's something we all take for granted. But that's an amazing gift he can give people who he may not even know, right? And all he's doing is smiling at them. So wow. That's so wonderful. So what would you tell a dad that is struggling with hearing that his son has autism and there's still a lot of dread around it and a lot of myths around what autism is and isn't? So what would you tell that dad?
know that you're not alone, because chances are with you going through, somebody else went through it. So pack a lot of patience and then don't try to make the mistake that I did. Try to what we call mainstream them because it may, and then shorten down the increments of what you feel like is a moral victory. Like at the end of the day, I want Elijah to read and write and live on their own. And to push it with that being the end objective could be difficult. Shorten note task at maybe tomorrow, maybe he learns how to go to the bathroom or he makes eye contact.
Right.
So start with those because there are wins as well.
Mhm.
And if you
Yeah.
don't get that, then you gotta remind yourself of what it is that you're doing and how do you properly attain that. And then learn how to incorporate yourself with that. And all of that comes of years of experience, but stay in it. Cause I talk to fathers who've taken on different responsibilities, whether it's a second or third job to alleviate them from caring for their loved one. Or with the PEEA program, some fathers, they think all that they need to do is get them to the program and then come back and pick them up. That's a job well done to them. However, with PEEA, we don't allow a parent drop off. You have to stay with your loved one. The purpose of that, so you can see what it is that we're doing. And you can see a Black father that's dedicated to not just my son, because when we do PEEA, I never with Elijah. I'm always with everybody else because I'm kind of the organizer,
Yeah.
putting them together, handing meals out, taking to the bathroom so you can learn this okay. And while you're there, something may register. And I always give nuggets mainly to men. Hey, listen, your son did this? Well, he couldn't dribble a ball yesterday, but 2 weeks from now, he can hold the ball. 3 weeks from now, he can put it down and not pick it up. So take that home and use that as family time.
Yes.
'Cause that could be key, so we want like at school, we want this to what we're doing to be an extension of that. So as a father, I'm always pulling them, "Hey, listen, what are you doing? How are you feeling? You can call me if you need to." So just to know that they have those type resources, whether or not they actually use them, but to
Right.
know that there's another father out there that's going through, and I always tell them, "I'm not exempt from the day in and day out, because I still go through that with Elijah. I just so happen to start a program. So that doesn't make me I don't have the best of services. I still struggle. I still have to go through all of these things, whether it's coordination or transition programs. And then, yeah, I still got to sit in being a dad
Right.
at the end of the day. So when I go to these things, that these conferences and these talks, everybody want me to talk. I need to sit down and I need to decompress because I need to hear from other men like us.
Right.
uh, but it's all, at the end of the day, I always make myself transparent. I spoke with someone today and they said, well, we have a father in North Carolina. Can we patch you guys together? Sure. But making myself a direct link to some things that could make a difference is all what I'm here for.
Yes. Wow. That is so powerful what you're saying. So, yeah, dads listening and even moms and please share this episode with whoever is in your life that needs to hear it because what the fathers are so critical to the family. And if we can get dads to move along in the healing journey from the shock, dismay, the denial, the hurt of this is not what I planned, this is not what I thought, and I can't fix it because I heard you say that you couldn't fix it. And so it made you feel less than. And just to know that you're not alone and we can definitely reach out to Mr. Eric and so saying that, please can you tell parents where they can find out more about your programs? Are you only in Pennsylvania at
I'm
this
sure.
point?
But before I do that, I just want to add something. So I met with a couple last week, and they
Mm,
were having communication challenges. The dad didn't get any kind of compassion from his spouse, and then let alone he couldn't hug or have any kind of relationship. So he felt kind of isolated. And every time that because of that, every time he got to communicate, it was always harsh. It was always negative, and there was a little jealousy there. And then she felt like he wasn't doing enough. And he just was at odds. And I just happened to come across the family. They reached out to me. So I said, well, what needs to happen is communication. And they both agreed that they can't talk to each other. So I said, well, how about you do this? Get a journal, right? While he's with me, I'm gonna write down what it is my interactions were and how I felt.
okay,
Today we played ball. Today he didn't talk to me. We did this. We ate that. Leave that at a common place. And then when she came home, she read it. Okay, he did this. He did try. They didn't eat bologna and cheese. They ate something else. Okay, let me give him a pass. He didn't do this what he was supposed to do. But however, their feedback started to improve.
great,
Because they were saying and even if they put harsh things in, it's the mindset actually changed when you reading something. You may get furious, but clashing and just verbally talking to it, it just escalated and it spiraled into, "We gotta sleep in other rooms. I don't wanna come home. You do this because you never feel like I'm too good enough. I gotta do more. I'm tasked myself with this moment of denial. I can't help you." I
right,
need more, you know what I mean? So, but if you read it and you both agree to have set time to discuss what you guys read, maybe the filters and the blinders could come off a little bit and the acceptance could be more because at the end of the day, it's all about the loved one and they shouldn't be penalized.
right.
So I just wanted to add that part of it. But those little tips and tricks, they come from everyday experiences. So we're in Pennsylvania, Philadelphia. However, our network, it goes state to state. So if there's something opportunity that we're not there and in whatever city, then we're kind of, make those connections and do that. But for now, as far as the day-to-day things, if it's something for a dad, it's something for a relationship, or even we do clinics in person, but we could offer them virtually like we did during COVID.
Right.
So those may have sensory issues where, for example, they may not play basketball, go to a gym, and feel like it's overstimulated situation. They could be somewhere in their driveway bouncing their ball or doing exercise or playing tennis or just making friends. We can do that virtually. So my website is www.peea.org. Email address Elijah, Elijah at peea.org. So they can reach out either way, send me a message, and then someone from my team and myself, we'll get the message, and then we'll, have a basic intake call, and then, we'll deploy whatever's needed.
Wonderful. So parents listening to this, please reach out. You are a wealth of information and resources. And thank you for adding in that relationship tip because it is true, even statistically, that marriages suffer a lot when there's a child who has been diagnosed with autism. And so, thank you for what you're doing to strengthen my parents their communication because it also impacts the child. People
Hmm.
see and hear more than you think they do.
Right, right.
Right. And if there's things not going on right in the home, it's impacting them definitely in their behavior, in the way their brain functions, everything. So parents reach out and please share this episode with whoever needs to hear this. And thank you again, Mr. Williams, for coming on. Really appreciate
Right.
it.
You're welcome, and it's my pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, everyone, until the next episode, take care.